Hi, Dan Johnson here at Sun and Fun 2012, and we are down in one of my favorite places, Paradise City, the light plane area, the ultralight area, the LSA area, whatever you want to call it. It's a fun, charming place to be, and today we have the chance to talk with Gerry Olenik, who is part of this attractive little biplane here that we've seen this for a long time. Gerry, how long has the Micro Mong been around?
Well, I think about 1993, Ed Fisher brought the original prototype out in ultralight form, and it was probably about a year later that we bought the design off of him, and it might have been that year, 94, 95. I think you flew one down here over at South Lakeland.
And Ed Fisher, for those that may not know that name, is one talented designer. He's created at least 4 or 5 airplanes that I can think of.
Yeah, and there's often there's just some confusion between Ed Fisher and Mike Fisher, both prolific airplane designers. Ed designed, of course, the Zippy Sport, the Micro Mong, the Skylight, the Flip Plane, and I probably forgot some. Oh, and the little bits that he's working on now. And not to go unnoticed, he was inducted into the E.A.A. Home Built Hall of Fame last year, so that's kind of a big deal.
Excellent. Yes, it is, and well deserved. The other Fisher is Fisher Airplanes, and they also have a whole flock of airplanes, but today we're talking about the work of Ed Fisher. But now you own this, and you're doing some things with it, and you and I got to fly in another airplane that has this HKS engine in it. So you're kind of associated with that too.
Oh yeah, about actually it's been 10 years now since we moved down to Florida. I've always had an attraction to small 4-strokes, or for many years I've had attraction to small 4-strokes, and the HKS really fit that bill. And so that's how we kind of get picked up on that when we come down to Florida in around 2002 permanently. And when we last flew in the HKS, that was on the Quasar Light a couple of years ago down at Spruce Creek, which is a light sport 2-place low wing. I think you remember.
Yes, that was the 60 horse model.
That was the 60 horsepower.
Now, just yesterday, I got a chance to fly in the 80 horsepower turbo HKS. So this company has developed that engine a little further. A Japanese company that does a lot of speed equipment. They know a lot about engines, a lot.
Well, yeah, they had their comeuppance in making aftermarket turbocharged kits for automotive application, and that was where they really got their start. So turbocharging is really up their alley. And there was probably 3 years ago now that they were convinced, I think in no small part through the influence of our distributor, Aircraft Part Sales Unlimited, that they should go ahead and produce the engine. And it is a sweet running engine. I don't know if you noticed yesterday when you flew the M2 that it's smooth. It's very smooth.
Very smooth. It has an interesting sensation when you push the throttle forward. For a little while, it sounds like the HKS, a sound I've always liked. But then there's another sound as though carburetors were kicking in on a big Chevy or something like that, and you can actually feel added acceleration. Well, and that was my first experience.
That's about when the power is really starting to come in, because it's a slower revving engine than the 700E, and it's just the power is really coming out. It's not like the turbocharger's kicking on. It's like this is where the power,
it's just finally hitting its
around 4,000 RPM. You say,
something.
wow, there's something there.
Yeah, it was noticeable. I wouldn't have thought I could sense it on the first flight. Maybe somebody who's done a lot, but I noticed it right away. So you've got that engine in this airplane.
We have the 700E in the Micro Mong.
The 60 horse model. Yeah, you wouldn't need all that extra. This is a light little bird. But you are selling this now to people. How do you sell it? Is it a scratch built? Do you just sell a book of plans, or how do you sell the airplane to people that want to get involved with this?
Well, what we like to do is sell an airframe kit wrapped around the HKS power plant package. And a power plant package being the HKS engine, the exhaust system, the mount, the instruments, and a propeller, everything that they need to fly. And
so that's sometimes called a firewall forward package then.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
But we include some instruments and stuff. There's nothing left to buy. But not everybody has that amount to put down initially. So just a bare airframe is like $10,400 for an airframe kit, less the power plant package. And for those who really want to maybe go as economical as possible, we still offer the plans, and there's about 250 sets of plans we've sold over the years.
Is that right? Okay.
And we recently just started. We put the plans on an SD card. That if we sell the plans, we'll throw in an SD card, and that way we can, you can sit at your computer rather than going through these pages.
I see. Okay.
And there's about 500 pictures on it and stuff.
To help a builder actually go through this process of what we call scratch building, then looking at plans. Okay, I'm going to need a hunk of metal this big. Go out and shop for the metal like that.
Right.
But
right.
you also are selling some components to the kit.
Yeah, any pieces, parts that are required, but typically the whole airframe kit.
Okay, so somebody says, "Hey, I'm not up for that scratch building. I don't want to buy a set of plans. That's above my skill set."
Well, right.
They don't have to do that.
Right. In the kit, there's all the welding is done. There's no welding to do, and the rest of the construction. This is a tubular spar wings. They're just drilling holes, fitting up parts. And you've been there. You put it together, then you take it back apart, and then you put it together again, and make some progress. And at some point in time, you put it together, and it doesn't have to come apart again.
That's a good way to put that, Gerry. Thank you. But what kind of build time would we have then for somebody doing that? And this is always one of those difficult questions. Well, if you've built 3 or 4 airplanes, it's going to be quicker. Obviously, you know the drill. You have the tools. You have the setup, maybe. But so and yet an absolute novice has got a lot of time just sort of learning the procedures, not even really building. So let's pick somebody in the middle there.
Yeah,
not an expert, not a novice. How many hours to build the airplane?
Realistically, about 500 hours.
Okay, 500 hours, and you think that's a realistic number. That translates to a summer and an autumn, maybe, or some part of a year like that, or?
Well, that's I mean, those are real hours, and if you're doing this with your recreation time, like if you play golf or bicycle or ride motorcycle or whatever, you have to realize, where do those hours come from? Because they're not.
They're going to come out of something else.
They have to come out of something else. But yeah, I mean, if somebody's real devoted and they stay right after it, personally, I have a hard time doing this, where I'm going to dedicate Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday to work on a specific project, because we have so many
life
projects
gets in the
going
way,
on.
right?
But those are the folks that make the most progress, because they're always doing something.
Yeah, and they're sticking to it. They're not moving backwards to go, how did I do that thing the other day? Much like flight training. If you only take one lesson a month, it's going to take you longer.
Exactly.
And if you can do a whole bunch of lessons quickly, you'll get through it faster, but you've got to dedicate that time, and it's difficult for people. But still, would a year do it for a typical person?
Yeah, if a motivated person, I'd be able to easily get it done in a year.
Okay, so...
Are there any special tools or equipment that he's going to need to finish the kit off, Gerry?
Actually, the common tools, drills, clamps.
No special jigs and things that they have to build?
There's no jigging.
It's just sort of what some people call tabletop building,
yes,
then?
Or
bench building?
Yep. Like when we're laying out the wings and setting them up for a wing washout and stuff like that. That's just all done tabletop, and then finalized when on one of the initial assemblies, we set the dihedral in the bottom wings and mount the eye struts.
So in order to be able to do this under the regulatory structure in the U.S., experimental amateur-built is what this is called, and the FAA sends around a team that evaluates, is the owner actually building 51% or more of this? That's where the name sometimes comes from. It's a 51% kit. That's not the name, it's experimental amateur-built, but the builder must do that. And generally then, the factory will say, well, yes, you do a lot of the time-consuming parts, but we'll make the really difficult parts, like you mentioned about welding. Is that the case here with the Micro Mong?
Yeah, typically, yes. And there's things here like our cowling and boot cowling and sheet metal work. There's more or less templates drawn out. This stuff actually has to be built from material and fit up, and it's actually being manufactured by the builder.
Sure, I'm looking at this component part right here. This is a curved piece of metal, but it's not a complex compound thing that requires knowing how to use an English wheel or something like that. This is just an aluminum part. You got a drawing, it says it's this big, and you got a hole here and there, and that's how you do that.
Well,
right?
Better than that, we have templates, and you all you would have to do is just draw this out, cut out this part, and fit it up. And again, like on the sheet metal, this is stuff that goes together many times before it's finally finished.
That's what the whole Clico thing is all about. It's a temporary rivet, if you will, kind of thing.
Yes, there should be a rule that when you order parts from, am I allowed to say Aircraft Spruce?
Sure.
When you order parts from Aircraft Spruce, you should always put some Clicos on your order. And yesterday I added instrument nuts.
And you don't meet people, you meet parts now, so.
What kind of performance we're getting out of this aircraft when it's actually ready to fly, then equipped with an HKS engine?
Oh, is it nice? as you know, it was formerly powered by a 50 horsepower two-stroke, which was great.
That's how I flew it, and that was nice.
And the whole goal was to be able to get some better reliability and better longevity and fuel economy, and everything was just a projection until we're flying with the HKS.
Sure.
So where the Micro Mong really likes to fly at 75 miles an hour, it still does with the HKS with about 4,700 RPM. And we were projecting a cruise speed of 90, which it does nicely at about 5,400 RPM.
Which in the HKS world is a what's max RPM? Put that in perspective.
Maximum RPM is 6,000. So that's that's a moderate cruise. Let's put this in perspective. At 4,700, 4,800 RPM, the fuel burns about 1.9 gallons an hour. And now up around 5,000 or so, 80, 85 miles an hour. We're getting into the low twos. So at 90, 95 miles an hour, we might be approaching 3 gallons per hour. So that's,
we got to restate that for the guys out there that are calculating 13, 18 gallons per hour. 1, 2, 3 gallons per hour is what we really mean to say here, right?
Well, what I've been saying lately, I didn't invent the phrase, but I've been using the heck out of it, because somebody will say, well, so how much fuel does that thing burn? I say, well, it burns about 5 gallons a week.
It's an unbelievable number, but in an age of $4, $5, $6, $8 a gallon for avgas, or a little bit less for auto gas, it starts to get expensive if that number gets very high. So here's a real economical flying machine. The biggest number you mentioned was 3 gallons an hour.
Yes, I mean, truly, with the 5 gallons a week, I'm blessed to live on an airport community, and so if the weather's cooperative, I can fly every day. But usually for just a local fun flying, I'll go out and I'll fly around probably the same places or different places. When I come back, when I look at the flight timer, it's usually about 24 minutes.
Yeah.
So if I put 5 gallons in on Saturday, I can fly almost every day of the week and just put 5 gallons again on Saturday.
It's an unbelievable number, but also a nice experience. And you know what? I'll bet you that equates to what a lot of people do. Gee, if I lived on an airport like Gerry Olenik and I could just roll this thing out and fly it, 20, 30 minutes gives you that nice relaxation at the end of the day, and then you can go about whatever other business life has for you.
Some of the other things that I'm really happy about is the stability of the airplane. In calm air, it'll fly hands off, feet off.
Yeah, it looks like it might be quite the performer, but yet it's not going to overwhelm you.
Exactly. I say it makes you look better than you are.
Excellent. Well, Gerry, you've given us a lot of good information here today. That's wonderful. We never try and give everybody everything, because the videos would go on for days. But where can we go get more information? They're watching this on the web. Where do they go on the web to get more information about the Micro Mong, about HKS, and about Gerry Olenik Enterprises?
Well, probably the best thing to do is just go to our website. That's greenskyadventures.com, just like that. And you can go anywhere from there. That's our homepage. And you're welcome to email or phone or
all the contact information's there as well.
Yes, sir.
Excellent. So I have information on this airplane as well. I've written about it in the past. I'll do some more. That information is available on bydanjohnson.com or bydanjohnson.com. We're reporting here from Sun and Fun 2012.